How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is a brand new update to the Lazy Bones build, the 1-bar Necromancer. Now, previously, this had two different versions, one for all content and the other one for Infinite Archive. This is both of them smushed into one video. So I'm going to start off demonstrating the Infinite Archive variant, and then I'm going to go into the more dungeon and trial focused version. This basically has about 5 bombs that all go off pretty much at once. It's designed to take advantage of corpses, things go bang, they die, then they're dead, then they go bang again. Does that make more sense? We'll get into it with the rest of the video anyway. I'll explain more as we go. But first of all, we're going to go over the Infinite Archive variant. The other variant is basically some changed gear and a couple changed skills. It's not that stressful, and you can basically play it almost the same. But your results are going to be a little bit different. So, first of all, we're going to go into stats. We'll pop a potion, and that's pretty much us done. Now, bear in mind, the recovery stats can be enhanced quite dramatically if you choose to take a Healy pet instead of the detonation. We'll go over that more later as to how that affects the build. But at the moment, we're sitting on 807 recovery for Magicka and 854 for Stamina. Health recovery isn't too great, but you can buff that with bonuses from other people in your group if you're duo or in a larger group. And of course, you can benefit from Infinite Archive bonuses as well. 13k Magicka, 28.6k max health, and 30k, 30.4 in fact, Stamina. 5198 as far as weapon and spell damage is concerned, with 45.7k percent crit. 5k pen, which can be enhanced obviously with buffs and bonuses, but the weapon and spell damage does go up. As you can see here, we're actually on 5636, and that will go up even more if you get buffs and bonuses to enhance that, which you can do to make that very, very dramatic inside the Infinite Archive. You can actually end up with almost 2k extra weapon and spell damage. Resistance-wise, we're sitting on 20.8k on the spell side and 18.7 on the physical side. We can enhance that furthermore with minor resolve if we have access to that via a skill or a buff in the Infinite Archive, or if someone in your group, maybe dungeons or trials or whatever, has that with them as well. There are ways to boost that, but we're on a decent amount of resistances for something that is considered to be a DPS build. So not too bad at all there. You can alter that if you choose to by changing some of your traits, but at the moment you don't really have to. All points into Stamina. I know you would argue that we're using a lightning staff, therefore Magicka, right? No, not at all. Stats were changed a long, long time ago, so your highest stat is the one that will contribute towards your skills, unless the skill says otherwise. The staff has its own passives that do benefit the skill types, i.e. the damage they put out. So if you want to know more about that, here is a supporting video that will tell you all about Mag and Stam and how the hybridization pass for combat actually made it so anything goes, basically. But anyway, you can read that and watch that in your own time. All these buffs and bonuses are with us because we're obviously using the one ring. If you understand how 1-bar stuff works, you can, of course, use 1-bar no matter what you're using, but there is a very specific mythic ring that gives you benefits for doing so. Max health, max stamina food. I know this is 0-0. That's a bug. It's been there since the beginning of time. Basically, just over 5k health and just under 5k stamina. So that's the stats covered. Now we're going to go over the skills. Bear in mind, there is one swap out here. In fact, 2 if you choose to take this into dungeons or trials or whatever. So, Necrotic Potency. First of all, in the Bone Tyrant skill line, starts off as Bitter Harvest, get Necrotic Potency. If you see a corpse on the ground, activate this and you will basically suck it up and get ultimate for it, and you'll get a heal for 2 seconds. 1 heal per second for the 2. That stacks per target, up to 6. So technically speaking, you can get a 12-second heal over time, and 36 ultimate if there are 6 corpses on the ground. Bear in mind, if you now suck up 3, the heal over time will be replaced with the new one. While slotted, your damage taken is also reduced, so you're quite tanky with that on the bar. See loads of corpses? Use this. Bear in mind, the heal is scaled off for max health, so the more health you have, the better. Unstable Wall of Storms, very simple. This is the Destruction Staff skill line. Starts off as Wall of Elements, morph it to Unstable Wall of Storms. This goes on the ground, does damage over time, and anyone caught inside of this, if they are concussed, will go off balance. Now, strictly speaking, we've got off balance covered anyway, but that's an extra side effect bonus we can take advantage of. Also, bear in mind, that means that if they are concussed and off balance, we've not only got the off balance bonus, which we do already kind of have, but you also concuss the enemy itself with a basic status does apply minor vulnerability. So that's a plus. But generally speaking, damage over time on the ground of lightning damage. And if you recast this ability before it runs out, or it actually runs out, it does a pop at the end as well. So that's kind of handy. For those that don't understand off balance, basically, for 7 seconds, that target now gives you double resources back if you heavy attack it, and you do 70% more damage to the target for doing a heavy attack with any weapon, and yes, it stacks within power. Detonate and Siphon. This is your swap out skill, but I wouldn't swap it out if you can help it. This is in the Gravelord skill line. Last ability to unlock starts off as Shock and Siphon. Now, basically, that will change this skill into disease damage. Disease damage over time. Anyone caught anywhere near you in between the beam or the initial cast of this will take really fast-paced damage. It's very, very powerful, and you want to make sure you can maintain one of these at all times. Basically, any corpse that is on the ground, if you aim at it and apply this, it will come from the corpse. But upon activation, it also has a tether to you. So run around the room, keep the beam within 28 meters of it, it won't run out. If you go outside of that, it will. But there is a side effect to this as well. When the skill ends, the corpse explodes. So technically speaking, all you need to do is activate it onto a corpse, have another corpse, reapply it, and the old one goes bang. The way that we're set up, we're going to be able to make a corpse, consume it, make a corpse, consume it, over and over and over and over. So we're getting a free explosion every time we cast this. Also, while slotted, all damage is increased by 3%. And while this is active, you also gain Major Savagery and Prophecy. Granted, it's on the ring anyway, but if you weren't using the ring, that's an easy way to acquire that without the need for pots. Basically, we are going to have corpses on the ground. This is going to be a bit of a spoiler, but hang on, I just won't look. If you haven't seen Blast Bones before, you don't know what that just did. Bang. There's a corpse. Apply it. Now, as you can see, that's going to run for its duration. If I put another corpse on the ground and then consume the new one, it blows up. Aha. See? It goes bang. Now, if you stay out of range, obviously, it will disappear. That is incredibly important towards the gear that we've chosen for this particular build, and it makes a huge difference if you get good at it. Ruinous Scythe. Bone Tyrant skill line, first ability to unlock, morph it from Death Scythe to Ruinous Scythe. Now, I know the other one is magical costing, but bear in mind our magical bar is quite low. Yes, we can maintain it with heavy attack, so you could utilize that if you prefer just heavy heal, heavy heal, heavy heal. But we've decided not to do that. We decided to take the stamina version, which is expensive, but in front of you in a cone swing or cleave, because AoE is area of effect, normally stuff that's around you, and cleave is a frontal swing or cone. They follow the same rules as far as damage is concerned, but they are different names on purpose. Go through patch notes, devs explained it ages ago. Anyway, this is a cleave effect, a frontal swing. Now, the initial hit will apply bleed damage, which is a direct attack, but it can also guarantee hemorrhage status. If you apply 3 of these, they'll be at their strongest point, because 3 hemorrhage stacked is where it peaks. And you can basically delete things if you end up with focused efforts in the Infinite Archive with this particular skill. It's your heal, it's your off balance, it's a direct spammable area of effect. It's very, very powerful, but watch your stamina. We don't have a way to get that back outside of synergies and recovery bonuses, so use this kind of sparingly as and when you need to. We do have ways to get resources back if we get kills, and there's buffs and bonuses towards that in the Infinite Archive anyway, but you don't want to over spam it because you are going to need that stamina. Remember, the more enemies, the bigger the heal, and the more health you have, the bigger the heal. So in the Necro transformation or with health bonuses or whatever, you can make this actually quite strong. Next up is Blighted Blast Bones. Now, this is your main kind of... It's not a spammable, but it's the main skill you should be using all the time. You need to fire this, and within 2.5 seconds, it will fire off, and bang! It will explode in a crowd of enemies, and they will all take massive disease damage. Now, where do all the bombs come from? Disease damage, if you apply status effects, can also act as its own bomb. And this guarantees the status effect itself. So while it does disease on impact, it goes bang and blows everything up, the disease status affects the targets that were hit, and that disease status, when it hits a target, pops and hits multiple targets around it. So it actually is a double boom. Made a video about this a while back, about the changes to Blast Bones. It's incredible. But this drops a corpse when it's dead. So you basically fire your Blast Bones. If it's grey, you can't use it. Look at your bar. If it's grey, you can't use it. If it's not grey, you can. But if you're close to the enemy, you can basically spam other abilities in between, and you can fire this, then use other abilities if you need to, and then fire it again. It's always light, hit, and then light, skeleton. Light, hit, light, skeleton. Now, a free skill is this. So light skeleton, light skill, light detonating siphon. Light skeleton, light skill, detonating siphon. And you can maintain that quite well if you've got a decent recovery bonus. The detonation is free, the swing gives you a heal and hemorrhage, and you can basically maintain uptime, really good uptime on hemorrhage, your heals, your stam resources, because you're now using one less skill because one of them is free, damage over time, and popping curses on corpses. Makes a huge difference if you can get into the rhythm of it. But basically, if it's grey, you can't use it. If it's not, you can. So you've got your bomb here, which is your Blast Bones. You've got the pop from the disease status that guarantees from it, so 2 bombs, and you've got the explosion from detonating siphon after the skeleton lands, so you've got 3, essentially. Well, there's more, and we're going to get to that in the gear. When it comes to ultimate, you've got Pestilent Colossus, which is from the Gravelord skill line. Morph it into this version, it will do more damage, and it will do disease damage and area of effect as well, which again applies the disease status effect and major vulnerability. So it adds an extra pop if it lands. It does 3 major bangs and also major vulnerability, increasing all damage you do on those targets. Very, very effective. But if you can't get used to that or you prefer something else, I would recommend Shooting Star in a crowd, because once it lands, you get ultimate back per target. It's quite handy. But again, you'll do more damage on the target with major vulnerability if you can keep this up. And it's quite cheap as well, considering most ultis that do really, really high damage or are really, really efficient with providing buffs, bonuses, debuffs, whatever, generally around 200 to 250 or 240. This is quite low. Now, swap outs. This is where it gets a little tricky. If you are struggling, you cannot maintain Detonate and Siphon, you're not very good at it, simply swap this out for a pet, i.e. Spirit Guardian, which is in the Living Death skill line. You want to morph it from Spirit Mender to Spirit Guardian. This will give you a 16-second heal, and it will take 10% of all damage that you take. So that's a damage absorption pet. It does drop a corpse. You can consume it with Necrotic Potency, and you can still utilize the sets we're using with this, just not as effectively. This is for scooping up loads of corpses. This is for maintaining the one you want to focus on. But if you want to use the pet instead, you will get less damage. The effect will be less, but you will survive more. You can swap it to Vigor or whatever you want instead if you prefer, but that actually works really, really well. The other one you can do is if you're in a group, maybe there's 2 of you, you could swap to Braided Tether. It doesn't make an explosion like Detonate and Siphon does, but it acts the same. So you can have a nice heal for you and your allies. Now, when it comes to everyday content, i.e. trials or dungeons, instead of Ruinous Scythe, unless you favor it, bear in mind, statuses are really high damage, but they're much better in Infinite Archive if you have focused efforts. If you do find that you're in everyday content and you want to make something more single target heavy, you can swap this for Venom Skull. And this is quite simple. Basically, in the Gravelord skill line, turn this to Venom Skull. So casting any Necromancer ability while you are in combat counts towards the 3rd cast. 50% increased damage. So don't fire this on its own, fire it when it's glowing. Now, before it was Blast Bones, Detonation, Swipe. Blast Bones, Detonation, Swipe. This time, if you've got 1 corpse on the ground, it's a little bit easier to get this running. But basically, you then fire a second one, and then consume, fire. 2, 3, skeleton, detonate, skull. As in 1 cast, 2 cast, special skull. 1 cast, 2 cast, special skull. And you can do that all day long. That will give you more single target damage, but it will give you less healing power. So bear in mind, your stamina resources will be much better. You can maintain that indefinitely. You will do a lot of damage, but that is for single target stuff, unless, of course, you want the Scythe. Again, that's for more everyday content rather than Infinite Archive. Pick your poison. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but we got one anyway. Also, bear in mind, that does poison damage, so status effects, you get the idea. Anyway, passives. Passives are very important. Gravelord, you want to get all of these. When you're Sacrificial Bone, Skeletal Mage or Spirit Mender, so if you're using a Healy Pair or Blast Bones, dies, the cost of your next one is 50% cheaper, which is why this is a tiny 863 stamina, because you have that bonus basically with you all the time. As soon as you cast your first one, every single time you cast another, it's going to re-proc that buff. Increases your critical strike chance against enemies under 25% health by 10% for each Gravelord ability slotted. That is why we've tried to slot so many. We've got one here, we've got one here, we've got one here. Can't really slot anymore because they didn't really function very well for the build, and they made corpse control very, very tricky and made the setup negative in comparison. So we've managed to get away with 3. Again, you can get away with 4 if you go in single target by putting Venom Skull on, but for Infinite Archive, you want to put the Scythe on. This allows you a 30% extra critical chance bonus at low health. Based on the fact we're on 45 at the moment, that will put you to 75. Big, big difference. 85 if you use Venom Skull. So that's huge. While a Gravelord ability is active, your spell and physical penetration are increased. As you can see at the moment, we are sitting on a whopping 5k. But if you do end up having one of these active, so let's say, for example, Detonate and Siphon, once this goes bang, as you can see, we've got 6.5. That only triggers when you have one running, and that will be with us all the time. So a huge pen bonus there. Ripper gone. Then we've got increases your damage done with damage over time effects. Obviously, that improves our Lightning Wall, our Heavy Attack, and our Detonate and Siphon. Bone Tyrant, of course, you want to get these. You can swap this ulti out, by the way, if you do find that you're in content and you're taking far too much damage. Once you get past certain rounds in Infinite Archive, or you're in a difficult dungeon or whatever, you can change this out. So you're doing less damage, but you can actually do damage in area of effect with this particular skill. You can heal off of damage done. You can do extra healing off of light and heavy attacks, and your health is improved. There's so many different bonuses for this. It's absolutely insane. Basically, you go God mode for a minute. You're looking at like 60k health and can't die. Only lasts 20 seconds. It's very expensive, but that is your oh shit button. No, you cannot generate ultimate while you're inside of it. But we have Bone Torrent skills on our bar. Whenever an enemy you are in combat with dies within 28 meters of you, you restore 666 magicka and stamina. So while our recovery is low, our resource gain is high from deaths. Reduce the damage you take from damage over time abilities by 15% when you have a Bone Torrent ability active. So basically, if you have this running and you're receiving the heal from it because you scooped up a corpse, you take less damage. Increases your healing recede for having it on the bar. We've got 2 at the moment, so a 4% bonus, and you get an extra 1250 health bonus just for being a Necromancer. Now the Healy skill line. While you have a negative effect on you, your healing done is increased by 8%. That's actually really helpful for one of the skills, but we're not going to go over that. But basically, if you have a negative effect, a status on you or whatever, your healing done is improved. So that will affect your scythe. While you have a living death ability slotted, your critical strike chance on all healing abilities is increased up to 20%, depending on how low the health is from the person who's being healed. That only benefits you if you're using the pet, because we're not using anything else. When you consume a corpse, you generate 10 ulti. This effect can happen once every 16 seconds. That will be with us all the time. You don't need a skill from the skill line. And finally, while you have any pet active, your health, magicka, and stamina recovery are increased by 200. We don't have a pet active at the moment, but while you have a blast bones running, you'll see that this actually goes up, and when it goes bang, it goes back down again. So while you're spamming those, as long as they have a decent uptime, which is kind of 50-50 as far as time and down is concerned, you will have recovery during that time. That does actually help quite a bit. Again, if you've got the health pet running or the Healy pet running, that will be with you all the time as long as you maintain it. Now, if you heavy attack something with a lightning staff, you will do 100% of that damage in area of effect because it does a channel, then pop. Obviously, resistances are to be considered for each individual target as to how much they'll receive, but it's 100% of the damage done, and then resistance is calculated afterwards. You have extra penetration for your Destro abilities, so your Wall of Elements, your lights, and your heavies. Increases the chance to apply status effects by 100% for having a Destro staff. So yes, our chance to apply status is improved by 100% of the base. Bear in mind, this skill is guaranteed. This skill can have a chance to do it, and this skill is guaranteed as well, as is this. So we've got lots of guaranteed status, but we've also got chance of lightning and chance of disease here, again, on top of what we've already got. And also you've got chance of the poison if you do have the skull skill. On top of that, we actually increase our direct damage and channeled effects by 12%. So our heavy attack and our blast bones and any explosions that are direct damage, they all are, by the way, will be improved. As well as our main ultimate as well. And if you kill an enemy with a Destro staff, you get 3600 magicka back. Light, heavy, or Wall of Elements will contribute to that. We are using both light and medium armor to take advantage of crit chance, penetration values, and also reduction to cost, weapon and spell damage increase, crit damage increase, reduction to dodge roll cost, all that good stuff. Technically speaking, we've got 3 light and 3 medium alongside 1 heavy, so you want to get the heavy passives as well. They are minor bonuses, but they do count. You can go through these in your own time if you really want. I don't want to suck up loads of time in the video for passives that you just should get. Get them all. Read through them when you get them. Fighter's Guild not using. Mage's Guild only using if you choose Shooting Star, in which case make sure you get the extended duration and, of course, the magicka recovery and max amount. But that's not massively important for us if we're not using it. The main things you want to get here are Undaunted bonuses. This one, if you take a synergy, you get resources back. Don't miss synergies. And also, we've got 3 types of armor. 1 heavy, 3 light, 3 medium to take advantage of a balance of passives. And we've got a 6% resource increase to all 3 pools. We are, of course, an orc. Why? Because they have nice stamina bonuses. They have nice health bonuses. They heal once every 4 seconds, regardless of what you're doing damage-wise. And we have a weapon and spell damage increase. And we're really, really fast. And it costs us less. Pick any race you like. Doesn't really matter. But that is why I've chosen this one. Good balance of everything. Nice stats, nice flat increase to damage, and fast. Alchemy. Medicinal use. Get this as soon as you can. You'll be using tripods. That gives you health, magic, and stamina back when you use it. But at the same time, it gives you a 30% recovery to all 3 of those bars as well. Don't use this when you're just low. Use them all the time. All the time. You need that recovery bonus to be with you. It's a consumable buff. Don't let it run out. If you can't get enough potions, or you feel like you should hold on to them for a special occasion, you're doing it wrong, and you need to go make more gold and buy more potions. Or make more. Up to you. Now, the gear. There's going to be a couple of variants here depending on how you want to play. But the main setup is going to be for the Infinite Archive. You can take it into normal content, yes. But if you want to go more single target in everyday content, then there's a variant for that. Really simple one as well. Remember, the skills that we've got on our bar at the moment, you can change the Detonate and Siphon for a heal, but you'll do much less damage. And you can change the Ruinous Scythe to the Skull. You'll do more single target, but you won't get the heal. Up to you. It depends on the content. This for Infinite Archive, Skull for everyday content. But we are using Macabre Vintage Lightning Staff. Yes, you've seen this on the Big Booms build and also the 1-bar Pla, but let me explain. Weapon and spell damage on absolutely everything, and when you kill a monster, they burst with blood magic, dealing 50% of their maximum health to enemies around them within 6 meters, which is bleed damage, and it will do up to 24k. Flat stat increases can actually improve that, including Minor and Major Slayer and Major Berserk and all that kind of stuff that can enhance it, so the more damage bonuses you get in the Infinite Archive or in other content, the better. But this cannot critically strike, and this can go off every 0.5 seconds. So, as soon as you get kills, things go bang. Hopefully you're staying with me on this one. So, let's go from the beginning. Blast Bones. Hits the target, explodes. Guarantees disease status, explodes. If they die, this explodes. Consume the corpse, your previous Detonate and Siphon explodes. And, because you consumed a corpse, Corpse Burster also explodes. The corpse explodes for magic damage and area of effect, hitting multiple targets, and the damage is increased by 10% for each Gravelord ability slotted. If you're in Infinite Archive, you've got 3. If you're in Trials or Dungeons, you've got 4. This can go off every 0.5 seconds and scales off of your highest weapon or spell damage. Enemies damaged by the explosion gain Minor Breach for 5 seconds, reducing their physical and spell resistance. So, Blast Bones, bang. Disease status, bang. Macabre goes off, bang. Detonate and Siphon goes off, bang again. And then this goes off for the consuming of it in the first place, another bang. You got 5 explosions in a very short space of time. If adds are stacked, everything is fucking dead. It is absolutely bonkers. And on single target, I can see people going, well, there's no corpses. Yes, there is. There's a Blast Bones every 2 seconds, and you detonate it for free. This, on single target, can actually outperform Reliquin if you type everything correctly, and it's easier to apply. But if you want to put 2 and 2 together, if you're in single target content or a trial, or you can maintain lights and heavies and all that good stuff, you can swap Macabre out for Reliquin, and on single target fights, you've got Corpse Burster going off all the time. Macabre would only go off when it dies anyway, so it's bloody useless, but Reliquin can maintain alongside of it. When you're talking single target, this is a 1-bar build. You're going to look at somewhere between 80 to 100k if you have a good day. But it can perform very, very well, and it's very easy to use. Infinite Archive, however, you're going to blow up the entire room. Falcon Scoria Arm Cops for the pen. You don't have to do that. You can go for recovery or health or resistances, whatever you favor. The crit chance is a waste of time because we get loads of crit at low health anyway, but the offensive pen did actually help, especially in the archive. Other content, you can change it, but in Infinite Archive, take this. But how we've set this up, basically, you can do it in any order. Macabre is a medium set, so we've gone with the weapon and the helmet, and then 2 jewelry pieces. Bear in mind, the weapon is 2 pieces. And the Oaken Soul ring on the ring, obviously. Bloodthirsty on everything. Weapon and spell damage with stand recovery on all. The Corpse Buster stuff, we've kind of mixed and matched alongside the monster set. So as long as you have 1 heavy, which you can use the Corpse Buster for, you can make the heavy version with 1 healthy bonus. And then the rest can be a mixture of light and medium. So Macabre helmet, medium. Vulcan shoulder, medium. And then Corpse Buster guards, medium again. The rest is all light. So 3 light, 3 medium, 1 heavy. Weapon and spell damage with precise. Obviously, we're using the Thief from Understone if that wasn't already painfully obvious. So the short version is, you blow stuff up, they die, you blow up the body, other things die. And rinse, repeat, 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 repeat. In everyday content, dungeons, trials, arenas, whatever, you can still keep it as it is, but if you find yourselves on really, really long fights, maintain Blast Bones with a skill in between and then Detonating Siphon. If you do so, that corpse in that location is the one that will always go bang, and you'll always take advantage of Corpse Buster. Now, the really easy way to basically apply this, as you can see here, once you've got 1 skeleton on the ground, you can then consume the next one, and then go from there. And as you can see, every skeleton that hits the ground, I'm consuming with Detonating Siphon for free, and just maintaining it indefinitely. Now, that is not a proper fight, there's barely anything there, but as you can see here, even before we start, you're looking at Corpse Buster being way up there. It's really, really strong. You're not going to get 67k DPS out of that, you'll get a lot more, depending on who's playing it, and depending on lucky crits and all that kind of stuff. This is the Infinite Archive variant, so the dummy is absolutely fucking useless for it, especially considering this set doesn't actually fire on it until it dies. In the Infinite Archive, things die all the time. Single target, you'll do great on bosses, especially if they've got little ads here and there. But in the actual trash runs, which is where most people die, you are going to fly. Again, if you are against just single target, then of course you want to take advantage of Reliquin here. Instead, replace the entire Macabre set with Reliquin and maintain your lights and heavies. You'll have these stacks here. They will take full advantage of their uptime, obviously, if you can manage it, and you'll get an extra boost to your DPS overall. So instead of sitting on 70 or 80, you'll be sitting on 80, 90, 100, depending on your crits. Depends on the player, but it's very, very effective. Now, champion points. These vary depending on your content. So, Wrathful Strikes, Occult Overload, Master at Arms, and Biting Aura to take advantage of direct. All the explosions direct. Biting Aura, all the explosions are area of effect. Weapon and spell damage, all of it is scaled off weapon and spell damage. And obviously if they die, Oblivion damage goes pop in area of effect, and they get random status effects as well. Basically, you push stuff to die very quickly, and all the things that die push everything else to die afterwards. It's a domino effect. Now, if you're in dungeons, trials, arenas, whatever, then of course you want to change these out, because Occult Overload is not going to get used as often, and the status is not going to be as impactful. So swap that out for Deadly Aim. That means your light attacks, your heavy attacks will actually do more damage. And of course, you've got your skulls, which will then do more damage as well, and they can take advantage of the Master at Arms alongside of it. So that's the only real swap out there. When it comes to this tree, of course, these two require no prerequisites whatsoever. So Balanced Vitality and Fortified for armor and health. Recovery if you're in dungeons and trials, if you've got lots of single target fights, but if not, the rest of the time you want to take advantage of these two here. Siphon and Spells and Bloody Renewal, the more kills you get, the more stam and mag you get back. If you find that you're struggling in Infinite Archive, it's up to you to change your champion points for more survival. Not going to go over that too much, it's quite straightforward. Give yourself some resists or damage mitigation bonuses. Green tree, completely irrelevant for all content really, but this one makes you run faster between fights. So of course, if you're going for speed runs and you want to go A to B quicker, take advantage of that. Then you've got this, which makes your food last longer. This has a chance to not even consume a potion, but you still get the benefits. And this one here gives you higher quality loot from chests. Again, it's all quality of life, makes no difference really, but up to you. Now, how do you play it? The easy part. We've already gone over this, but basically you keep your wall of elements down at all times. Always make sure there's a corpse on the floor, i.e. kill something or fire a blast bones. Maintain your scythe stacks for hemorrhage as much as you can while using it as a heal. And at the same time, anytime there is a corpse on the ground, if there's multiple, you want to suck them up with this, which makes your corpse explosion go off, by the way. And the rest of the time, you want to maintain on the main target, detonating siphon on them. So this will be on the main one. You can cut through enemies with it if you prefer, but basically you keep up blast bones, keep up scythe, keep up detonate all the time. So this and this with a wall. Every time there's a corpse, eat it. Each time that corpse appears from blast bones, detonate and siphon will make them blow up, and then they will take additional damage from the corpse stuff. It all triggers itself. It's a massive domino effect over and over and over. So maintain that, your scythe, and your blast bones. Detonate and siphon will do its work. It's free. And your heal, technically, apart from this swipe, the more targets the better, comes from your necrotic potency, which will fuel your ulti. You can build up ulti very, very fast. And in a big, big crowded room, you are not going to struggle to blow stuff up. You're not going to struggle to get ultimate. It's going to be really, really fun. Now it's time for fashion. So we are using the Arcane Undying Cycle helm, the chest, the belt, the legs, and the feet. We're using Dremora Kynreave. Hands, same again, and shoulders, also Dremora Kynreave. The staff is actually the Eld Angovar, however you pronounce that. Angvar? I don't know how you pronounce it. That one. It's a shiny one with a blue crystal in it. Yay. And the colors are basically all black and gray. Apart from the face, which is kind of a bone color. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hugely appreciate support. If you're not subscribing already, hit that button. It's free. And stay tuned for the new videos. Bye-bye.